Do you really love the person you claim to love? Or do you just require them? There's a difference, a profound, perilous one, that most people never notice. Most of the time, what people call love is really simply perfumed dread. Fear of loneliness, fear of inadequacy, and anxiety of the quiet that results from no one responding to your texts. And in that anxiety, you grasp for anyone, not to share your happiness, but to fill in the gaps. Love isn't that. Dealing with loneliness is what that is. I'm not implying that your emotions aren't genuine. They are, of course. The pain, desire, and excitement are all genuine. Where is it coming from, though? Is it a result of fullness or overflow? Or does it stem from a lack? Because the secret is right here. Only from a heart that is already whole and full of plenty can true love come. You are not loving someone if you are attempting to fill yourself with them. They're being used by you. It's still necessary, even if it seems lovely or spiritual, even if you cry and refer to it as destiny. And need is not love, no matter how poetic it may be. Fear is the cause. Fear disguised as gentle language. Music and candles wrapped around fear. Romance wrapped in terror. Allow me to pose a direct question to you. When they don't text you back, what happens? When they don't say what you want to hear, what happens? When they don't arrive as you had hoped, what happens? Do you feel neglected, crushed, or abandoned? Do you ever doubt your value, attractiveness, or significance? If so, it was never love in the first place. Attachment was the cause. When you're attached, your mind says, I need you here so I can feel safe. According to the heart, you are free, and so am I. This is love. Here's the trick, though. Freedom is what love feels like. Despite its flowery exterior, need seems like a cage. Additionally, you're more likely to mistake the cage for a home if you're terrified of being alone. Why? We were taught that being alone is a sign of weakness, that you're waiting if you're not dating, because you must not be very valuable if you're not adored by someone else. However, that is untrue. Being half of anything was not your birthright. You weren't made to wait for your significant other. You're already whole. A world that takes advantage of your insecurities is cleverly selling you the concept that someone else must complete you. As a result, individuals continue to reach out with their hands, not to share but to fill. You feel devastated when that individual departs, changes, or fails to satisfy your emotional needs. You didn't lose them, though. You came up with them. The one you made to calm your anxiety. That was what disappeared. Since most relationships aren't between two people, that is the reality. Between two fantasies, they are. And you believe that love has failed when those illusions come to an end, as they usually do. Love hasn't failed, though. It's an illusion. I'm not here to embarrass you, please. To wake you up, I'm here. Because you have to face the part of yourself that needs if you want true love, the type that frees, that dances, that shines without clutching. The part of you that says, unless they choose me, I'm not okay. Because this is the problem. You have given up your freedom the instant your tranquility is dependent on someone else. Furthermore, true love cannot flourish in captivity. It requires surrender, faith, openness, and space. Indeed, that is frightening as unchecked love feels chaotic. But it's life, not anarchy. There are no guarantees in life. Contracts don't come with people. Thus, love must be a gift rather than a bargain. You have to be prepared to declare, I love you because I see you clearly, not because you complete me. I love you because I already feel valuable, not because you make me feel that way. Are you able to do that? Is it possible to love someone without requiring them? Is it possible to give someone your whole attention without using them as your emotional oxygen mask? Although it's difficult, it's the only way true love can exist. However, what is the source of this necessity? Why do we believe that in order to be complete, we need a relationship, a person, or a presence? My dear friend, the explanation stems from early confusion, a misunderstanding of oneself. You see, the world begins to shape you from the time of your birth. You are labeled as good, bad, intelligent, attractive, deserving, and inadequate. The statement reads, you must earn love. Be this, not that. It murmurs. If you do more, they could stay. As a result, you start to think that love is something you have to earn rather than something you are. Because you wouldn't be who you are without them. You feel that you must perform in order to be held accountable, appear a certain way, and say the proper things to make others happy. The wound is that. Furthermore, most adults never grow out of it. They simply fabricate better narratives to conceal it. The majority of individuals, however, are still acting like hungry kids and begging. Will you love me if I change enough? Beneath the roles, the drama, and the spiritual masks. However, that isn't love. That is a disguised form of fear. Shrinkage is not necessary for true love. It doesn't require flawlessness. You are not punished for your humanity. It states, come as you are not, as you think I need you to be. But if you haven't given yourself that type of love first, you can't give it to others. Because you would expect someone else to correct your flaws if you're still ashamed of them. You will beg someone else to divert your attention from your loneliness if you're still terrified of it. And because they show you what you haven't healed, rather than because they have harmed you, that person finally turns into your mirror. The great conundrum is this. You can't really see someone the more you need them. Instead of seeing people as they are, you see what you wish them to be. Your anguish is projected onto their face. You request that they read your thoughts. You anticipate that they will protect you from yourself. But you cannot be carried home by anyone. They are able to stroll with you. Indeed, they are able to provide joy, love, and presence. However, the path and the return to your own completeness are yours. And this is where it starts. Sit in terror, the fear of being left behind, the dread of being ordinary, the worry of not being selected. Because that fear is your instructor, sit with it without running. It's letting you know where you've lost sight of reality. In actuality, you are sufficient whether or not you have their consent, their presence, or the relationship you believe you require. I now realize that while this is easy to say, it is difficult to live. We are social beings. We are connected. However, clinging to a relationship and wanting it are not the same thing. A flower does not beg for the sun, but it does require it. The water does not require the moon's allegiance, but it does accept its pull. Dependency and harmony are not the same thing. Love is harmony. Fear is dependency. And the most of us were never made aware of the distinction. It was taught to us that love entailed never letting go. That genuine love is painful. That you weren't good enough if someone left. However, that is not sagacity. Conditioning is what that is. In actuality, let someone go if they choose to do so. Bless the person who doesn't love you the way you deserve to be loved. It is not your fault that they left. Your worth is not diminished by their absence. It just indicates that your trajectories are no longer in sync. That's all. And now for the lovely, horrifying thing. Love becomes more genuine the less you hold to it. Because freedom is necessary for love to flourish. You don't keep someone in your terror if you love them. You don't need assurance all the time. Your panic does not hold their presence captive. You respect their path, even if it takes them away from you, because you love them. Are you able to do that? Can you open your hands and love? Can you make the deadline and release the script? Because amazing things happen when you stop needing. You recognize that you are loved and stop striving to be deserving of it. You begin to be connection instead of pleading for it. You begin to feel, and you cease to perform. Love resides here. When two persons meet, what happens? The purpose is to observe one another, not to fix or complete one another. The rarest thing is that you see two souls who chose to walk side by side, even though they don't need each other to feel whole. Not with fear, but with delight. This is not the type of love you read about in cheesy romance novels or see in movies. It's not loud, ostentatious, or theatrical. It's silent. It is steady. It's free. And a lot of people avoid it because it's so strange. It doesn't feel intense, they say. There are no butterflies in the air. It's not like an obsession. Of course not. Because love is an obsession. Addiction is the cause. Attention-seeking addiction. Addiction to being accepted. Addiction to the euphoric feeling that results from being loved, required, and desired. However, true love doesn't cause your nerves to jangle. It becomes softer. You don't lose yourself as a result. It aids in your self-discovery. You see, you'll call anxiety passion when the relationship is driven by the dread of being abandoned. Loyalty is what you'll call jealousy. Control care is what you'll call. However, those are merely masks. Behind the mask is fear. Fear of being forgotten, fear of being alone, and dread of realizing that you may still be carrying scars from a past relationship that you thought would go away. Because you're no longer two creatures traveling together, the partnership turns into a battleground when that occurs, and you assign someone else the responsibility for maintaining your peace. Both of you are creatures fighting against expectations. One anticipates approval. The other anticipates security. They're both disappointed. Despite the fact that love is not disappointment, you continue to label it that. Debt is not love. Not holding your lover responsible for the emptiness you've been avoiding within yourself is what love is all about. When two people choose to embrace each other despite accepting complete responsibility for their personal lives, that is love. To observe, to share, to declare, I am whole and I see that you are too, rather than to repair or save. Let's take a stroll together. That is love, but you have to meet yourself before you can experience it. The part of you that still clings, pleads, and implores you to stay with me must be confronted. Without you, I'm not sure who I am. You have to have compassion for that portion. Yes, but that voice is not your truth, thus you must not follow it. Your hurt is that voice. Wounds also don't communicate well. They communicate in order to survive. They mutter something like, you'll be by yourself. Nobody is going to stay. You have to prove yourself. However, your soul is more aware. Before all of this, before the plot, before the scripts, before the longing for someone to come and make things right, your spirit recalls a time. Since your spirit is aware that it is never really separated, it does not fear loneliness. That is what we overlook. We think that love is something that exists outside of ourselves, and that we must seek out, pursue, and conquer. But there is no affection. People remember it. It's the natural state of having fear-free mental clarity. It's what's left over after the drama has subsided. When the ego lets go and waits patiently for you to come back when the roles are dropped. The moment you stop asking, what can I get? You'll know you've touched it. How can I give without losing myself? Is what you begin to ask. Because you're not emptied by love. It fills the giver and the recipient. I therefore implore you to be truthful with yourself, not the outside world. Examine the love in your life with compassion. Take a look at the individuals you call your own. Take a look at how you cling to them, how you declare, I can't live without them. And inquire, is this fear or love? Is this survival or is it love? Is this a well-dressed panic or is it love? You see, fear and love are incompatible with one another. It is up to you to decide which one to water. Additionally, if you feed fear, it will develop into control, jealousy, insecurity, and worry that passes for devotion. However, if you cultivate love, true love, the kind that comes from within you rather than from a need, it will blossom into something big, giving, and unchanging. It won't make demands. It won't become alarmed. It won't pursue. We'll see. That is the action of true love. Apparently, you're not asked to alter your shape. You're not shaped into an ideal by it. You're not compelled to live in someone else's prison because of their needs. If it is intended to, it will stay when it sees you. It still sees you even if it leaves. It still gives you a bow. Since love and possession are not the same thing, it still departs softly. We've misidentified the two. We've been taught that to love someone is to claim them, to hold them close, and to never let them go. However, how can a soul be claimed? How is it possible to own a being? The rain does not belong to the river. The sun is not owned by the sky. They move, they meet, they transform. So must love, and so do we. You will start to free others from the prison of your expectations if you are truly bold. It will start to occur to you that, I want you with me, but I do not need you here to be whole. Relationships will start to be built on abundance rather than nothingness. From liberty, not terror. And you'll discover something remarkable. People reveal their true selves when they are at ease. And love is real if it still exists. And love has served its purpose if it wanes. In either case, you develop. Because you always come back to life when you choose love over fear. You go back to the part of yourself that knows, the part that never needed to be fixed, just remembered. One person's half is not you. You're not a piece of a puzzle. Someone else's attention did not create you. You're a drop posing as the ocean. You're the sky pretending to be a cloud. Love itself. You forget only long enough to experience the excitement of remembering. Let love flow then. Don't chase it, though. Don't hold on to it. Don't plug your wounds with it. Allow it to rise. Give it some air. If it has to go, let it. Additionally, you should never state, I can't live without this person. Pow it. Take a breath. And never forget that you could. You've always done so. Truth, tranquility, and love that liberates rather than confines you are things you cannot live without. As a result, avoid asking, how do I get them to love me? Inquire, how do I return to the love that was here before they ever arrived? The question is that, and you will discover that the love you have been pleading for is always yours if you follow it truthfully and let go of the fiction, the dream, and the fear. It was never absent. All you were doing was looking the wrong place.